Well, joining me now is Neil Barnett, Director of Istok Associates, a risk consultancy group focusing on Central and Eastern Europe. Thank you very much for joining us, Neil. So those Russian jets gave the USS Donald Cook a haircut. The Estonians have been asking for more help from NATO. Do they have a strong case to be very, very nervous, the Estonians?
I'd say that they do, yeah. I mean, if you look at the trajectory of Russian aggression over the last decade, you can see a quite worrying series of escalations. First, you had actually in Estonia in 2007, first real road testing of this modern variant of hybrid warfare, where Estonia came under electronic attack from Russia. The Russian minority in Estonia was riled up by the Russian media and possibly by provocateurs on the ground, and there were riots in Estonia by the Russian minority. Then we had the Georgian War. Then we had the annexation of Crimea, the destabilization of eastern Ukraine, and then Syria. And the question is, what comes next? I'd say each of those steps has been more serious and more alarming. So what comes after Syria? It could be that the Baltic states do have something to worry about.
Neil, by holding these military drills with Estonia on Russia's doorstep, trying to get into the Russian mind here, is NATO guilty of encroachment and poking the bear?
Well, there are some people who take that view, including plenty of Russians, no doubt. But I think if you look at that pattern of Russian activity that I just described, then actually the NATO response is remarkably mild. The Russians really, they will complain and they'll make propaganda mainly for domestic consumption, alleging that there's NATO aggression occurring. But I think any fair-minded person would see that that really isn't the case.
Worst case scenario, from the Estonians' perspective, I guess, if Russia ever gobbled up Estonia, as they did Crimea, realistically, would NATO even do anything about it?
Well, it's a very different proposition because it is a NATO member. So if NATO were to stand idly by and allow this to happen, which is not impossible, that would really be the end of NATO, and Putin would have beaten the world's most powerful military alliance without firing a shot against them. So that would be the end of the Western security, actually the global security architecture as we know it, and I'd say a pretty disastrous turn of events for everyone except the Russians.
Okay, Neil. We have run out of time, but thank you very much for joining us. Neil Barnett joining us there from London.